The Dallas Stars make it interesting late, but a shaky start proves to be costly, and the Vegas Golden Knights win Game 1 by a final score of 4-3.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Vegas Golden Knights take a 1-0 series lead over the Dallas Stars as they take Game 1 by a final score of 4-3 and steal home ice away from the Stars. Welcome into our Game 1 reaction here on Locked On Stars. I'll be posting these as soon as I finish recording after each game in this series and beyond. Hopefully, if the Dallas Stars are able to get over the Vegas Golden Knights. But the Knights took care of business in Game 1. The Stars got better as the game wore on, but too little, too late for the Stars, and they must make adjustments moving forward. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of opinions after Game 1. We're going to jump into all of them here on today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So I want to begin by saying I feel a lot better about the Dallas Stars moving into Game 2 after witnessing the final 25, 30 minutes of Game 1. The first 20 had way too many shades of that elimination game in the Western Conference Final in Game 6. Way too many shades of just feeling that the moment was a bit too big to some degree, and maybe that's not the right perspective, but just a really, really shaky start. They were passive, they were on their heels, and Vegas just forced the issue, and they got to their game a lot quicker than the Stars did in Game 1. And that is an obvious statement. The hard forecheck from Vegas rewarded them with chances in front of Oettinger, and they took advantage of their two power plays in the game, and it really ended up being the difference in the contest. They made a concerted effort to get in front of Otter. They made a considered effort to take his eyes away. Pretty simple stuff. Get shots through from the point, get deflections, and make Otter's life really tough. I wrote in the first period down, Otter just could not get into a rhythm. It seemed like every chance he had to deal with, it was grade A or very, very dangerous. He couldn't see many of the shots. 3 out of the 4 goals were shots from distance that were deflected down. Not a whole lot he could do about it. And the Stars really struggled to win the front of the net. And this series at this point, I mean, after Game 1 is going to come down to if Dallas can win in front of the net on both ends of the rink. Can they win the battle in front of their crease? Can they create havoc in front of Thompson or Hill, whoever the netminder is going to be for Vegas, and win that area of the ice? Because Vegas just took the middle of the ice away. They are happy with Dallas parading around the outside, playing their puck possession game, shooting a ton of shots from distance. Most of them won't get through because Vegas just collapses down. They take away a lot of shooting lanes, and they block a ton of shots. They ended up blocking 20 shots in the game. And the second period was a great testament to how Vegas really wants to play. The Stars outshot the Golden Knights in the period 9-3, but they lost the period. Vegas gets the 1 goal early, which really hurt their chances, and Vegas just kind of locks it up from there. Marchment made it really interesting late as Thompson led in a softie. Stars get some extra attacker time, and they did all they could to get one through, but it was just too little too late, and you're not going to beat this Vegas team giving up 4 goals. You're just not going to you're not going to beat them. They're too good defensively. They're too healthy now. By the way, Mark Stone was fantastic in the game. I mean, his impact cannot be overstated. It doesn't matter how many games he missed during the regular season. He looked fully healthy as we knew coming in to this one, and played phenomenal. I mean, he played the third most minutes out of forwards for Vegas, actually the fourth most, over 15 and a half. He was great defensively. He was great offensively. Of course, he strikes first. A couple of the LTIR guys do for Vegas, as Hurdle gets a power play goal as well. And Vegas really took it to the Stars in the first period. And you felt really good coming out of the first, only down a goal. I didn't think the Stars played particularly well. They were just playing catch up the whole game, frankly. And that was kind of the theme. They just were playing catch up. They are going to have to find a way to win the middle of the rink or find a different way to generate offense. Even when Vegas was turning the puck over, and they did quite a bit in the game, Dallas just couldn't generate much. Vegas wasn't particularly great with their puck management either. And Dallas was just a bit sloppy, especially in the first 10 minutes. And they just weren't as crisp. Maybe it was the multiple days off, but you thought they would just come out with a sort of intensity, and it didn't help that Steele took a penalty early, and then, of course, put them on the PK, and then Vegas is able to strike. But mostly it generated from just their own mistakes, failed clearances a few times on their power play. They could not exit their own zone cleanly for the first half of this hockey game. Could not exit their zone cleanly. Could not put two passes together. Had trouble just gaining the red line. And some of it is a credit to Vegas on their forecheck. They were going after the Stars' defense, and all Dallas could do was a ton of hope plays. Most of the night, just hope passes, right? Like just high flips out of the zone, and that's great. But when you're trailing by two, and the way Dallas wants to play and use their speed on entries and create offense that way, Vegas just took that completely out of the game for really the first two periods. Vegas controlled the tempo. They controlled the pace of the game, and Dallas was playing catch up the whole time. And they have won a lot of games from behind this season. And they almost were able to at least push it to overtime, but you are not going to be able to play that type of hockey against the Golden Knights. They are way too good defensively. They're the best team in hockey in terms of guarding that slot area. They are just so good. They put stick on puck. They put man on man, and they're in between you and their netminder, and they do not give up a ton of chances there. They don't give up anything. And you saw that in the game. Vegas was controlling neutral ice. They were easy and breezy in between the blue lines, and the Stars were choppy. And if you look at the majority of chances in the game, how easy Vegas got their looks, really just how easy it was for them to get the puck through, to get bodies in front. And of course, they were aided by the two power plays. But then you look on the other side, how much work it took for the Stars to get interior. Like, they had to work extremely hard to just get to Thompson, or at least get a shot through. It almost had to be perfect for them to get opportunities. And when Vegas is up to, they're just going to suffocate you. And they were holding on, certainly. And that's where I want to get into sort of I feel a lot better about the Stars moving on in this series if we get what we saw in the third period. And maybe some of that was due to the scoring, due to the score at the time. Vegas was just kind of holding on, but they didn't seem very interested in trying to tack on to their lead. I mean, Dallas really tightened up defensively, and I thought controlled the tempo for the last 25, 30 minutes of the game. At least the last 25, they made a great push. But it was too little too late. I mean, they outshot Vegas 30-15 in the game, but special teams proved to be costly. And yes, the stripes weren't phenomenal on the night. The Marchment call was so soft. that was so soft, and it's unfortunate, but you got to find a way to kill it off. You just have to find a way to kill it off. Vegas wins the puck back on the face-off. Hurdle does, and then he goes right to the net, and he gets rewarded. Look, I'm not here for any of the Otter nonsense after this one. A bunch of two deflections, one he couldn't see. The Marchessault goal, yeah, you could ask him to stop that, but that's a tough chance inside the hash marks, and he's ripping a half slapper. That's going to be a tough one to stop. And Miro and Benn weren't on the same page. That's usually a play where Miro can slide over to take Marchessault, but Benn was there on the back check, and he didn't really take Marchessault's stick. He just went for the kind of the two hand in the lumbar area, and Heiskanen kind of got caught in between, which allowed him to get a clean shot away. And Otter was never set. And Jake made some good saves down the stretch, especially when Dallas was pushing in the last 7 minutes of the game. But I think Otter's going to be fine. Dallas needs to be much better in front of him. He couldn't get into a rhythm. I don't know what you want him to do on some of those deflections. And that's a credit to the VGK too, for making his life really, really hard. Really the one bright spot in the game is Logan Stankoven and the Johnston line. I mean, time and time again, they just make things happen over and over again. And the Hintz line looked better as the game went along. They need a bit more from them. They need a bit more from Duchene and company, even though each line got a goal, of course, but they just need a little more in terms of creating really, really good looks. Like, it really was a case of quality over quantity in the game. And if you look at the scoring chances aside, high danger, the Stars had 10 and the Golden Knights had 6, but Dallas was only credited with one high danger chance at 5-on-5 in the third period. They end up picking up 2 in all situations. So only 13 high danger scoring chances. And it wasn't going to be enough, right? And they have to make an adjustment. They can't live with shots from outside. Vegas is way too good in front of their own crease. How many shots that just never got through? Second period power play, the Stars had 3 blocked shots by Vegas, and they got 3 clears off of them. Stars couldn't reload, and that was pretty much it in that period. And I thought Vegas was pretty clinical in the game. They just kind of controlled everything for the first half of the game. And then they kind of shut it down in the third to some degree. And I know Dallas had some chances, but they got a lucky one from Marchment, of course, and that, of course, made everybody a bit tenser in the game. But Dallas just couldn't get one more through. And at that point, it's too little too late. You have to find a way to be better in your starts. And I think that'll be fixed. You could tell they were nervous in the first 10. There was just some real curious plays with the puck, and it took them a while to settle in. They were maybe a bit excited to say the least, a bit anxious with the atmosphere the way it was. Building was rocking. Credit to the AAC and Stars fans everywhere for making that a heck of an atmosphere. Unfortunately, the Stars fall in game 1, but they need better play out of some of their guys, some of their best players. They need guys to step up if they want to win this series, because the best players for Vegas were better than Dallas in this one. And hopefully the Stars can get some better performances out of a few guys. And I want to discuss some of that in just a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is obsessed with finding you ways to save money on tickets. We've all been there before, Stars fans, where we're going to a new arena, we're going to a new ballpark, and we buy some tickets, we get to our seats, and then all of a sudden, there's a railing, there's a piece of glass, there's an obstruction. I would have not bought these seats if I had known that. And that's why Game Time is so great. You can see your seat before you buy, and they have exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. You want to go to game 2 of Stars versus Knights, go to Game Time because you can get $20 off your first order when you create an account by downloading the Game Time app and using the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. If you find seats in the same row and section for less as well, the great thing about Game Time is they will credit you 110% of the difference. It takes all the stress out of buying tickets. You see all of your total up front. You don't get any surprise fees as well, which of course is a big thing when buying sporting event tickets or concerts or comedy. They have it all at Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, as I said. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So the Stars fall in Game 1 by a final score of 4-3. And there are a few players in particular that Dallas needs to get a lot more out of. And I'm going to start with this one. And I don't want to be too hasty with my comments, but Thomas Harley needs to be a lot better than what he was in Game 1. He really, really struggled. He was fighting the puck most of the night. In that third period as well, he had that shot, or at least attempted a shot from the tops of the circles, and he fanned on it, which led to that 2-on-1 for Vegas, which Chris Tanev played pretty beautifully. Harley's turnover ended up leading to, I want to say it was the Marchessault goal. It could have been Stone's as well in the power play. I want to say it was Marchessault's back in the first on his turnover. He really struggled in this one. And I also want to preface that may be the worst game Harley has played all year. I just thought he was awful. And I hate to say it, but I thought he was awful in the game. And I guess the good news moving forward is that's probably the worst he can play. He just did not look like himself. He fought the puck. He turned it over quite a bit, and it just wasn't. It wasn't his finest game. To just put it lightly, it wasn't a great night from Harley. He ended up with a couple of giveaways on the night, and it wasn't just him, but I thought the defense in general played a strong game. Look, they could get more out of Miro Heiskanen too. I thought Miro played a decent game. He picks up an assist, but they could use more out of him too. The power play needed to pull through, right? They had chances to tie the game. They had chances to pull themselves back to even, and the power play was unable to cash in, and Miro's a part of that. But I think the Stars just need more of what we saw from Jamie Benn, right? Jamie Benn was fantastic. He was the best star on the ice last night, and you could tell he was pulling the team. He was trying to will them back into the hockey game, and a great example for not only his line mates, but everybody else in the lineup moving forward. They need more out of everybody. And yes, Robertson was good. He scored a goal, but they need more. And yes, Roope had some flashes. And yes, you could say Duchene had some flashes, but they need more. They need more. This is Stanley Cup playoff time. And yes, each line tallied a goal, the top three lines, but they just didn't have that sustained dominance that we saw for a majority of the regular season. At the same time, it's one game. The good thing is you lose game one, you have at least a few more to try to make it up. And it's not a must-win scenario by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, they took home ice away. you can't go back to Vegas down 2 games. Otherwise, it's going to be a repeat of what we saw in the Western Conference Finals from a year ago. But the Stars got better as the game wore on, and if they can get the type of effort and play that they got in that third period where they really dominated possession and they really took it to Vegas. They had a Corsi percentage, a 54% in that third period. Their expected goals were up a little bit as well. And they got to their game, but they did not get to their style of play often or more than Vegas did, because Vegas capitalized on their opportunities. I mean, they only had 15 shots in the game. Dallas did a good job of limiting those, but if Vegas cashes in like that and they get 4, I mean, you're not going to win this series. And you're certainly not going to win this series if you can't win the front of your own net, or just in front of the net in general on both ends of the rink. Vegas is big. They have a lot of size on the back end. Pietrangelo and Haig had a phenomenal night. Hannafin was fantastic. I mean, look, their best players outplayed you. And maybe it wasn't the entirety of the game, but they outplayed you when really the game was up for grabs in the first 15, 20 minutes. And yeah, you went to the second period only down by 1, but it felt like you were lucky to get into the period down by 1, because it almost got out of hand really, really quickly. And they saved themselves. They saved themselves with some timely goals, and I will give them that. I don't want to overreact here as well. I don't want to overreact, but it was a tough game. And here's some comments from Pete DeBoer after game 1. We did some things well, but we were chasing the game the whole night. From the first shot of the game on, tough to play from behind against that team. And amen to that. Ain't that the truth? But they need a lot of different guys to step up. Miro needs to be better. Harley needs to be better. I thought Duchene and Sagan could have had better nights too. Duchene needed a new blade. I don't know what it was in the first period. he was losing an edge and falling all over the place. It felt like in the first frame, but they just couldn't really get a sustained cycle going. They couldn't get sustained offense, especially just in Vegas territory, because look, the Golden Knights are going to be fine with Dallas running around the perimeter. They don't care. They'll let them play with the puck, but they're going to sink down. They do it on their power play too. They don't really get out of their shape, or their penalty kill, I should say. They don't really get out of their box. They kind of stay in, and they just try to block shots. I think they play a pretty simple game, and it works. It works because they have phenomenal personnel. Look, it's a really good team. This is not the Vegas team that played in game 1 through 82. Completely different. Are completely different, and we knew that going in. And yes, the cap sucks, and we get it. They manipulated it, but they didn't break any rules. And frankly, by all means, they should do it every single year if the NHL allows it, and the Stars should do it every single year if they allow it. But I will say, I still think Dallas can get back into the series. I don't know if I'm confident enough to be like, oh yeah, they're going to win. The series, of course, I predicted them in 6, but there's a lot of hockey to be played. The series is long from over, I should say. It sucks you lose game 1. You want to make a statement. They lost all 3 game 1s last year in their postseason run, and they were able to come out and win the first 2 rounds, even when dropping that first game. But they need some of their guys to just step up and have great nights, like from minute 1 all the way through. Right? It was a little bit too sparse, a little bit here and there. Like, oh, okay, they're starting to get to their game. But I mean, Pete DeBoer sums it up. You're playing catch up the whole night. It's a tough team It's a tough team to do that against. And there'll be some adjustments they have to make moving forward. And I have some thoughts on that and just some keys heading in to game 2 on Wednesday night as well. And we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. Dallas teams so far in the NBA and NHL postseason not off to a great start, but maybe it's their worst game of the postseason, and we can look forward to game 2 and beyond for the Mavericks and Stars. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. Make some money this postseason while you're on the couch, you're watching the full NBA slate, you're watching the entire first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So many different options for you to get in on the action. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and make that first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Today's episode is also brought to you by Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts are on hand to help you talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Policy Genius gives you an unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend you one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. If you head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Alrighty, Stars fans, a lot to look forward to in game number 2. We can wallow in the game 1 loss, but Dallas will bounce back. Hopefully, we have to bounce back, and hopefully the Stars can even the series at 1. It just feels like the perfect phrase to sum up game 1 is catch up. They were playing catch up the entire night, but they have to make some adjustments moving into game 2, obviously. And I already kind of broke it down for you already here today, but they have to find a way to win the middle of the rink, or maybe more importantly, find another way to get to their game, because Vegas is going to clog up the middle of the ice from slot to slot, especially the middle of the neutral zone. They took a ton of time and space away from Dallas, and in return, the Stars gave Vegas way too much time and space. How many times Vegas just had so much time and space on the blue line, especially for their defenders? I wrote that in the second period. The VGK defenders had so much time in the offensive zone, just hanging out around the blue line. The Stars were really slow to close out, which of course allowed Vegas to get a lot of their shots through and make it havoc for Otter, because they were able to get in front of his eyes, and they were able to get a lot of those shots from distance through. So much time and space for Vegas in between the blue lines, especially on the attack. The Dallas just really struggled to kind of keep Vegas off balance, or at least out of their rhythm. It was really easy for the first 2 periods. And look, I said it so many times too. They got better as the game wore along, but getting better as the game wears along is not going to win you a game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, let alone a series against a very, very good Vegas Golden Knights team. I also want to say this right away. I don't want to forget this. If the Stars get through the series and they go on some run, it may be the most difficult series of their entire journey. And I don't think that is an overreaction. This Vegas team is damn good. They are damn good, fully healthy. And yeah, they can flip the switch. That was a question we asked yesterday in the crossover episode. Are they going to be able to do it? Oh, they sure as heck can. They are going to be just fine. And this could be the hardest series of the entire postseason run. And that's looking ahead, right? They have to get through the VGK before they can even think about round 2. But this is going to be an absolute battle. Stars have to be cleaner on their exits too. That's going to be a huge thing moving forward. They have to be able to keep the Vegas forecheck in check. They have to move the puck quicker. They have to make decisions quicker. They can't just throw pucks around the wall, because they did it 3 or 4 times, which led to Vegas goals. Just throwing the puck around the perimeter, it gets knocked down, and then Vegas goes to work, and they get a great opportunity off of that. And when the Stars had some of those chances, they just weren't able to generate anything. Have to be cleaner on their exits. They just really struggled to find time and space, and they have to be quicker, and maybe they have to be a bit more simple. They're not going to get that 30-foot width of the rink pass all the time out of their own zone. Vegas is going to clog up the neutral zone. They're going to have to be comfortable with playing on the outside. They have to be willing to make adjustments in general. They have to change up the way they play, and part of that's going to be on Pete DeBoer. Can he make the necessary adjustments? They can't continue to do the same thing over and over again. They can't do the same thing they did in the first 2 periods of game 1 and expect to find success in this series. You have to make an adjustment. Maybe you have to play a little more dump and chase style of game, impose your forecheck, force the issue. Because Vegas wasn't all that great in terms of their puck possession. They turned over the puck quite a bit in the game. They ended up with 9 giveaways on the night. Or excuse me, Dallas ended up with 9, and Vegas only had 2. And those giveaway numbers are always kind of spotty, to be honest. Vegas had more than 2 giveaways, but you have to be able to force the issue. And I'm not overly concerned either with their physicality. I just thought Dallas was a bit shocked in the first 10 minutes. And I don't even know if shock's the right word. They just felt stagnant, really passive. And there were times that even on the forecheck, there was a moment in the second period where there was a Vegas defender. I can't remember who it was. And Marchman is there along with Duchene. And they just kind of get turned around, and they're spinning around, and the defender's almost waiting. He's expecting someone to be there. And Marchman and Duchene just like skate away. And then, he makes a pass and Vegas is out of the zone. Like, where's the pressure? Where's the pressure? Where's the want to get the puck? Where's the urgency to make something happen? You're down 2. Like, go force the issue. Like, impose a forecheck, and just at least buck up to some degree. And there was just a bit too much passiveness for my liking. They seem to want to just kind of find their bearings in the game. And Vegas came out with a mindset: no, we're going to take it to you on your home sheet, and we're going to get a lead, and then we're just going to suffocate you the rest of the way. But Dallas did a lot of good things right. But there's no moral victories, of course, this time of year. They were pretty pathetic in the first period. They were just pathetic. You just can't have that start in game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs on your home ice, in your home building. All the momentum, all the momentum, all the energy in your favor, and then it's gone like that. And we saw that last year, and we see it again here in game one. They can't come out and just ease their way into hockey games. You can do that for the first 82 games of the regular season. You can't ease your way in. Can't ease your way in to another hockey game in this series. Otherwise, it's lights out. It's lights out if you have another start like that. I truly believe that. You don't give yourself a big enough margin for error to spot Vegas 3 goals in the first. That's really hard. And you're asking Otter to be a superstar the rest of the way. You're asking him to be unstoppable the rest of the way when you give up 3 in the first. I don't care how good the Stars offense is. Don't care. Vegas is too good on the back end. They got too much pedigree. And they have the Stars number. I think they know what frustrates them, because Dallas can shoot all they want and you're not going to get much through. And when you do, you're going to earn it. You're going to have to work extremely hard to earn it. So that's a wrap on game one of Vegas versus Dallas. And the Knights have a 1-0 series lead. Game 2 on Wednesday night. And the Stars must get a win. Of course, they don't have to. It's not a much win, but it's a must win. But it certainly feels like it, because you do not want to be down 2-0 heading to Vegas. So there we go. Stars trail in the series 1-0. Vegas wins game 1 by a final score of 4-3. Well, that'll do it for our first post-game reaction of the Stanley Cup playoffs. More where that came from in this series between the Stars in Vegas, but nothing to be too concerned about, Stars fans. Nothing to be too concerned about, really. And I know I bring up a lot of negatives in today's episode, but at the same time, I think game 1 said a lot more about what Dallas did wrong than maybe Vegas did right. I really truly believe that, because Dallas looked really, really good in the second half of the second and into the third period. You can't play half a hockey game and win. I'm not trying to say that either. I'm not trying to push that narrative, but they just need a much better start. Alrighty, it's enough of me rambling. We could go on for an hour after these games, but that'll do it for game 1 between the Vegas Golden Knights and Dallas Stars. Vegas wins 4-3. Stars trail in the series 1-0. Game 2 on Wednesday night. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. We'll look ahead towards that game and hopefully a Stars victory to even up the series at 1 apiece. Thank you so much for all your support. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here. The excitement is here. Even if the Stars lose game 1, better times are ahead. I promise you. Alrighty, that'll do it, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.